Hello guys, and welcome to ThatSrb2DUDE here today, bringing you yet another Splatoon 2 video. Today we are going to be going through the patch comparisons from version 2.1 to version 2.2. There's a lot of main weapon and sub and special weapon patches and nerfs and buffs and stuff like that, so hope you guys enjoy. Gonna be brief with this, and let's get into it. So starting with the Splash Junior, it is now made easier to paint under your feet. Nothing much to say about that. For the Dynamo Roller, the horizontal and vertical flick now do 180 damage opposed to 150. When using the Dynamo Roller at a distance, with the vertical or horizontal flick, it also does more damage. For the Flingza Roller, the vertical flick now outputs slightly more ink, and there has also been a damage adjustment from a distance. So as you can see in version 2.2, the dummy actually dies at the same range and angle, just like version 2.1. The ink brush now has an increased movement speed of 67% in version 2.2. For the Bamboozler and Squiffer, you are now able to charge up a shot 100% faster while in the air. Here are the same examples, except I am using the Squiffer this time. For the Goo Tuber, when charging to 71% of charge, you are now able to inflict 100% damage to an opponent. Due to this, when the Goo Tuber is not fully charged, the shot travels 5% slower through the air. The Slusher has a reduced movement penalty after firing by 4 frames. It also paints better around the feet, just like the Smasher Junior. For the Heavy Splatling Deco, it now outputs 32 damage instead of 28. For the Dapple Doolies, there is better hit detection when shooting. There has also been a reduced ink consumption when firing by roughly 17%, so as you can see in version 2.2, I am able to shoot much longer than before. And now you can use your special weapon and sub weapon 4 frames faster when after a dodge roll. For the Splat Doolies, the hit detection has been made more consistent, and this weapon has also received the buff of being able to use a sub or special weapon 4 frames faster. For the Gloggodoolies, the hit detection has also been made more consistent. The Gloggodoolies has reduced ink consumption when firing by roughly 11%, as you see again in version 2.2. The Gloggodoolies are able to shoot much longer, and they've also reduced the width of the shot spread for shots immediately after firing. This meaning that the Gloggodoolies are slightly more accurate. And finally, the Dually Scorcher, its hit detection is slightly more consistent. For Splat Bombs, Suction Bombs, and Curling Bombs, the explosion radius has been reduced by 13% for Splat Bombs, 11% for Suction Bombs, and 13% for Curling Bombs. This determines the minimum damage, which would be 30, so now these bombs can't inflict 30 damage on you when you are very far away from them. It also takes 15 frames longer to refill your ink after using a Curling Bomb. This is equivalent to a quarter of a second. For the Curling Bomb launcher, it has been made 40 frames longer. As you see in version 2.2, it just lasts just a little bit longer. This is equivalent to 2/3 of a second longer. And for the Bubble Blower, it has been made easier for your opponents to take out bubbles once the bubbles has reached a certain circumference. Meaning, if they are smaller, it can be easily taken out. So those are all the buffs and nerfs that we have received in patch 2.2. Now I'm going to give you a little bit my thoughts on the patch and how the outcome of this patch is going to change the meta in any way, or if it even does, actually. First thing I want to say is the Splash Junior and the End Zap. Now, in the special weapons have been changed a little bit, or the special gauge has been changed. End Zap is now 210 special points instead of 190. By doing this, it makes it harder for the End Zap to actually acquire ink armor. So with the Splash Junior, it might be the choice to actually be able to get as much ink armor as possible. But the thing is why I guess the End Zap was used so much is because it basically was the Splash Junior, except more accurate. It was basically the exact same weapon. It can output the same amount of ink, but it was more accurate and it was able to fight its own battles. The Splash Junior can do the same, but it doesn't have the range and it has a lot of RNG to it. And just because of that, it can be very difficult to actually go against other people. The Dynamo and Flingza Roller are a lot more consistent now, which is actually really nice to see. They're actually longer range weapons, which is nice. I definitely feel that the Flingza Roller might get a little bit of use. Maybe, I'm not too sure. I mean, if you did see in the patch comparison of the Flingza Roller, which you probably did because you're at this point in the video now, as you saw, the dummy instantly died, and it was actually at a pretty decent range. So Very nice to see. The Dynamo actually was able to kill already at that range, and now it can actually kill further, much further away from with its vertical flick and horizontal flick. So I would really like to see if the Dynamo could ink more, considering that's what it's known for back in Splatoon 1, just for a painting weapon that had a little bit of killing potential, but you know, you had to be more skillful for that killing potential. So Inkbrush moving speed is interesting. I'm not too sure if it's much of a game changer. It's much faster than version 2.1's, I guess, Inkbrush. But still, it's still an Inkbrush, I don't know. I guess it's a thing where it makes it feel a little bit nicer when using it, so I'm not too sure if it's gonna be it's not game changing, but you know, it's a little something the Inkbrush gets. For the Bamboozer and the Squiffer, this is actually really nice. Do I think it's game changing? No, but it's an extra thing that it gets, because when testing it out, it wasn't as fast as I thought it was going to be, because when I thought 100%, I thought, okay, you got the Squiffer and the Bamboozer. If they're jumping in the air, then their charge at 1%, 1%, or 1 times 100 is 100%, so I guess it'll just charge at the full speed as it does, but it actually doesn't, so I'm not really too sure about it now, right? But in my opinion, it is also a really nice thing that it gets. The GooTuber is not bad now. Wow. It's not bad. Actually testing it out, it takes little to no time to actually charge up to 71%. That's really good. The GooTuber is not a bad weapon now, and also because it can hold a charge at any time, it can get a lot of use out of that. So I actually might use this weapon more frequently now. I'm not gonna lie, because it's not a bad weapon now. It's actually pretty decent. The Slosher is a little bit more quick on the feet because you can slosh and then move 4 frames faster. Really nice, I guess. I feel like maybe a little bit faster, maybe 6 or 7 frames, that'll be nice. But I'm not too sure. Do I think it's gonna come into the meta like straight in? Maybe. I don't think so. Maybe. I mean, it's kits, they're decent, so it's actually one of those things where I'm actually really unsure about the Slosher. I really like the weapon, like personally. I mean, I liked it before it was even buffed, so I'm not really too sure. Maybe we'll see some change. The Heavy Splatling getting more damage. Not really too much to say. I mean, I said this in my last video. It's just for the Splatling Deco to be able to maintain its bubbles just a little bit better. And that is pretty much all to it. Also, while we're on the topic about bubbles, and I guess I'll just talk about the bubble blower now. Testing it out, it's not so bad. All you just need to do is make sure that your bubbles are huge and they're well lit. And it's basically patch 2.1 again, you know, it's not really too bad. Let's talk about the Forge Pro, because technically it receives a bunch of nerfs. The 200 special gauge, you know, it requires 200 special gauge now. It's fair, because Forge Pro was technically able to build special really fast when putting special charge onto the weapon. Really, really nice to have. Basically, if you want to get back to the same, I guess, standard Forge Pro in terms of special or special gauge, you need to have at least 4 subs of special charge to actually get to that power, I guess. But the Forge Pro itself, it's still a really strong weapon if you're able to use it. You gotta be accurate, of course. I don't think it's gonna fall out the meta. I just feel like people are just gonna add special charge onto their builds now. Object Shredder is gonna be a much stronger against bubbles, considering when the bubbles are small, they're gonna disappear much faster, which is really, really nice, actually. And having Object Shredder on the Forge Pro itself is gonna be needed so you can actually maintain your bubbles. For all dualies in general, considering they all had the same buff, shot consistency and hit detection, that's really, really nice. Actually testing it in the test fire range felt really, really good. The shots are just more consistent when you have your crosshair onto the dummies or in your opponents as well. I feel like people could get really, really good with dualies in general. We might see it in the meta just a little bit more often, who knows? Shot consistency was something that kind of let down all dualies in general, so looking forward to seeing what, you know, players actually try to take on that challenge of actually trying to learn dualies and stuff like that and bring it out in competitive. And Splat Bomb, Suction Bomb, and Curling Bomb nerf, really, really nice. I can't tell you enough how nice this is, because there's a load of situations where you've probably been so far away from one of these bombs, and they still kill you from just a stupid range because it's still able to inflict 30 damage, and because you had taken 70 damage prior to that. It was actually insane, and I really wanted this to be nerfed, and finally, six months later, actually 7 months later, I'm not too sure how many months it's been, but finally they nerfed it. Great. The curling bomb also received a nerf. It takes 15 frames more to actually recover for a curling bomb. Also really nice. I like this. It kind of nerfs the splat roller in general, considering you're not able to spam curling bombs as much as you were before. The equivalent of using 4 curling bombs in a row in version 2.2 is the equivalent of using 5 in version 2.1. So you're basically losing 1 less curling bomb during a period, you know. Curling bomb launcher, I can't really say too much about it. It's the last thing we can talk about. Only the aerospray has it. You don't normally see too many aerosprays. Pretty much the duration's just a little bit longer. That's pretty much all to it. I guess it's pretty nice for it, and it's a nice buff, so. So to conclude, Forge Pro is still fine because this is pretty much one of the main, I guess, nerfs to the Forge Pro because it was so easy to get bubbles and how sustainable bubbles were. But it's pretty much fine. It was a much needed nerf because when bubbles were really small, it takes a lot of shots to actually take those bubbles out. And it's really nice to have, actually. I can't even wait for this one. I couldn't wait for this nerf, even though it nerfs me as well, but it's okay. But anyways, this is pretty much the patch comparison. This is pretty much my final thoughts on this patch. Looking forward to how the meta turns out. And yeah, this is pretty much all I gotta say. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please, if you did, please like, favorite, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch, both in the description below. Do it for both if you're feeling generous. And as always, guys, this has been ThatSrb2DUDE, and I shall see you guys in a future video.